is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And on this show, we're looking for unique individuals with unique experiences that are going to help you think about things a little bit differently. So today, we certainly have a great time for you. We have Ralph Brown with us, and he is the creator of the Cup Royale, the first annual powerboat race around the world. He's the current world record holder for the number one, the smallest powerboat to cross the Atlantic Ocean. Number two, the longest nonstop ocean voyage in a small water boat and a flatboat. Number three, the longest ocean voyage in a flatboat. Number four, the first flats boat to cross the Atlantic Ocean. And he is a former Cocoa Beach surf bum from a former U.S. Marine, former weekend volunteer to project areas in Chicago and LA, former high school math and science teacher, former financial planner, so this guy's done a lot of stuff, a father of three, and a husband of one. So, Ralph, welcome to the show.
Well, thanks for having me, Penny. I appreciate you having me. I'll send you $5 after all those nice words in a little bit.
Hey, well, you earned it, right? I mean, you've certainly done a lot of interesting things. So what is the drive or the thinking behind wanting to cross the Atlantic Ocean with a small power boat? I mean, what drives one to do such a thing?
Why not?
I don't know. I don't have that desire. So tell me the story.
Well, years ago, I was in the Marine Corps, and they told me, you're too young to remember this. At least I think you are. And if you remember this, you do a very good job of hiding it. Okay? But in 1979, the American embassy was taken over by a bunch of terrorists in Iran. And I was in the Marine Corps at the time. And then a couple months later, in March of 1980, I got a phone call that said, you get your behind back on base. You're going to Iran. And so I got back on base. I actually went to my girlfriend's house first and hung out as long as I could. Okay, just look at the clock as long as I could. And then I made a mad dash for the base because I knew I wasn't getting back off for a while. And so, but anyways, I never went anywhere. I was on standby red alert. And April 24th, 1980, a couple weeks later, a group of Marines and Army and Navy, Navy, Marines and Air Force and Army went into Iran, and they had a refueling issue, and a chopper hit the C-130. I give you a long explanation of what happened, but you don't need that. All you need to know is that day, 8 men gave their lives. 3 of them were John Harvey, George Holmes, and Dewey Johnson. Those are the 3 U.S. Marines. And when I learned about it, I kind of felt like they died in my place. And so I went to a little corner somewhere, got on my hands and knees, and I promised God I would make sure, to the best of my ability, that those names were not forgotten. Then I totally forgot about them, like everybody else. And so my stepfather passed away, and he was former military. And so we went to Arlington for the funeral. That's in Washington, D.C. And so I'm walking through Arlington with my wife and kids, and there's 2 big golden-covered wreaths to the men that died in Operation Eagle Claw. And I stopped, and it just hit me like a ton of bricks. I suddenly remembered the promise I made 30 years ago and didn't keep my promise. And my kids are going, Dad, why are you crying? Dad, why are you crying? And because I didn't keep my promise. And so anyways, I kind of put that story aside.
Well, so is that connected to your pilgrimage across the Atlantic?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. It's connected to everything that we're doing. But so put that story aside and kind of help you understand the rest of it. Prior to me rediscovering that I really was a jerk and forgot to do what I said I would do, okay, I had been out with my boys in a boat fishing on the Friday after Thanksgiving. My wife and daughter, I got 1 daughter and 2 boys. My wife and the daughter went Black Friday shopping, as they love to do. I can't stand Black Friday shopping. Wall-to-wall people. I don't want to be there. So my boys and I were out fishing with a friend, and we hit a rock and we broke the motor and ruined the fishing day.
Right.
But me and Larry's kids were there too. Being the great parents that we were, we allowed our children to paddle, and we stood around and talked. great parents that we were.
Teaching them character and they're working,
Just being great
That's why you brought them along, right?
I guess. So anyway, somebody towed us in. I got to stewing about how to make a better boat and really, really stewing with it. At the same time, I was in the financial planning industry working for Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They were sending me 2 hours each way in a car, 4 hours of driving every day. They would give me a hotel room, but I did that one time and only once. I spent the whole night on the phone with my wife and kids, and I just don't want my kids to grow up without me. I've been in too many homes that way. Yeah. And so I chose to do 4 hours of driving every day so I could kiss my kids every night. Mm-hmm. That was just something that was super important to me. But anyways, in that time of driving on the way over, this is back when cell phones didn't work very good between Tampa and Orlando. By the way, they still don't work very good between Tampa and there's nothing out there, okay? But I would spend my whole time dreaming about how to make a better boat. And I had no idea this was becoming a passion to me, just an utter passion. So we would like to go out to breakfast on Saturday mornings as a family. And we go to this little breakfast shop, and I would take a napkin over, turn it over, and start diagramming boats. Well, soon all 3 of my kids are diagramming boats on napkins too. It's just fun. How to make a boat that could run over the top of those rocks and still be seaworthy enough to cross the ocean. And so I told my friends I wanted to do that. They're like, you're nuts. Okay.
The best plans, right, are the ones that people tell you you're nuts. What is that Steve Jobs quote, right, is that the crazy ones think that they can change the world, but they're the ones who are actually going to make a difference, right? I didn't get it right, but it's something like that.
Yeah, basically along that line. So there's plenty of boats that are made for big waves, and there's plenty of boats made for shallow water. You just can't get them both. And I'm of the opinion you could. And so, I just kept thinking about it and dreaming about it. So my mother-in-law took us out to eat. And I had no idea, this is right before our anniversary, I had no idea how rude I was. Because I got a napkin. Red Lobster has cloth napkins, but you ask the waitress, they'll give you a paper napkin. I turned the napkin over, started diagramming boats and calculations all night, had no idea how rude I was. I was just consumed with it.
So passionate about it.
A couple days later, my wife asked her mother, would she like to come over for our house for dinner? And she said, are you kidding me? She paid for the Red Lobster too. I took you guys out to Red Lobster, and Ralph didn't say 2 words to me all night long. All he did was draw boats on a napkin. I had no idea. I just oblivious to how rude I was. My wife explained it. To every man out there listening understands what I'm talking about. My wife explained it for about 2 hours, that night.
I'll bet.
How I was driving everybody nuts, basically insurance and financial planning and investments and stuff. And so that's my job. You do your job. Forget this stupid dream. And then she made the crazy part to end it with either do it or shut up.
Smart lady, right?
She should have just let it go. Shut up. So she went to bed. I walked the hallway and started thinking about it till about 2 o'clock in the morning. And this is June 2nd. And I got on the internet and formed a corporation called Dreamboats. Had no idea how crazy I was. But the next morning I told my wife I did it. She said, you're crazy. You're not going to do this. And then a couple of days later, she came back and said, you know what? You're supposed to do this. You really have to do this thing.
So what changed her mind on that?
I don't know exactly, but she just thinks you should do this.
Probably just because she saw how it lit you up, right? I want to create a teaching moment for people who are listening as well, because sometimes we don't always connect other people's stories to some of the lessons that are there. But I do think that people have to listen to what you can't not do, right? We all have something that calls us that we can't not behave a certain way or do a certain something, and it is under our skin. And I think we do have to pay attention to that, right? Because it's a calling. It's something that you're meant to do, that you're passionate about, that lights you up. And if you don't, like you said, either shut up or do it, we have to take action and make that a reality.
Well, for me, it was just something to move forward. So I hate to tell you how much money we spent. We spent a lot of money building boats and building a park. So you could go get any boat and make it work. That's no big deal. My goal was 3.5 inches of water. Okay. And so I did accomplish that. I actually I got video of my boats running in 1 inch of water. Okay. And safe enough to cross the ocean. But it took a long time. It took several years to get it to work and a lot of money.
As too many dreams.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It did. But anyway, so I got ready to take one and just go to Bermuda and back. That's 700 miles one way from off the coast of North Carolina. And I had a friend named Patrick that was coming with me. And so I thought, well, I'm going to pull a publicity stunt out of it. And so I called a couple reporters and told them to do it. And one of them is a real big ocean reporter here in Tampa Bay named Bob Height. And Bob Height said to me, that's a world record. I said, that's not a world record. He said, yes, it is. So then we checked it out. It was going to be a world record. What do you know? So I spent a couple of months putting together the longest ocean voyage in a flats boat. When you have shallow water, lots of shallow water, those are called flats. Boats that can run in real shallow water are called flats boats. A lot of people think of it as a flat bottom boat. Mine are not flat bottom at all. Okay, but they're designed to run in shallow water.
Gotcha.
Okay, flats boats. So anyways, this other guy named Patrick was coming with me in it, and the local Tampa Bay reporter was with me in the boat. We're out doing final testing. This is like a day before we're leaving. And I'd already spent a couple $1,000s with tickets and sent people for advanced cruise and everything else. And Patrick got a phone call every 10 seconds. He would pick it up and say, it's not as dangerous as you think. And he'd hang up. A few minutes later, it's not as dangerous as you think. A few minutes later.
He set that as his own phone call to keep him?
No, what happened was his mother.
Oh,
this is a grown man.
His mother is calling every 15 minutes and he has to reassure her every 15 minutes.
No, she called every friend he had, every relative, every person you can think of. I mean, all the neighbors, the people that aren't neighbors, people that don't like him. I mean, he must have got 45 phone calls that day of people trying to talk him out of it.
To talk him out of it. How many entrepreneurs, right, who are listening have had neighbors and family and friends try to talk them out of it? It's a thing, right? That people, they don't understand what's driving you and they want to talk you out of it. How did he and how does one explain to people, or do you even bother to explain to people why you're doing it?
For me, I've had so many negatives. It's just, you just push on.
You just kind of ignore it and dismiss.
Patrick that night, my phone rang at 8 o'clock that night, and I saw the caller ID before I picked it up. It was Patrick. Yes. You know what he said, don't you?
He said he's not going.
He's not going. He had some excuse. It wasn't because his mom talked him out of it. He had some other excuse.
He was influenced by the 45 callers. So
I go home and my wife says, why do you look so gloomy? I said, because Patrick bailed on me. And I really didn't want to do it myself. I mean, I could and I would. In fact, I would have gone by myself. She says, I'll go with you. And I'm thinking to myself, I want to stay married. Something goes wrong on a very small boat, nowhere to go.
Right.
You know, it's not, your days out at sea. And so she said, well, why don't you call your brother? So I called my brother, Bob, and Bob wasn't home. Jill answered the phone. Jill said, he can't go. Okay. The next day, Bob calls me in the morning. This is the day I'm getting ready to go.
Right.
Okay. Bob calls me up and says, Jill called last night. I want to know what you want. And I explained to him I was going to go from North Carolina to Bermuda in a boat and testing the boat, etc. And the guy was going with me named Patrick bailed. Bob said, I'll go. That's simple. Now, the funny part is he then turned around and called his wife, Jill, at work. He's a dental hygienist. Okay. He told her where he was going. And Bob looked at a map, and I'm on my way to pick him up. And he calls me and says, Ralph, that's 700 miles. I said, yeah.
He had no idea what he got himself in.
But he was camping with a few friends, and I was going to pick him up on the way. So anyways, his friends were all out there, and they're all laughing. There's no way it's possible that you're really going to go to Bermuda in that boat. And I'm going to share my screen with you. Is that all right?
Yeah, please do.
Okay.
But remember, This is also going to be on audio, so you're going to have to tell people what you're showing us. So.
That's fine. This is the boat we took to Bermuda. Now, this is the smallest powerboat that's ever crossed the Atlantic Ocean, because a couple of weeks later, after we went and set a world record for the longest ocean voyage in a flats boat, I called him and asked him if he wanted to go with me across the ocean. And he said, sure. Sure. It turns out he was on a roof doing some roofing work, and he said, going by boat for a couple months, roofing. I'm doing the boat. But this is us leaving Iceland. Okay, this is actually the southwest corner of Iceland. It's inside of what's called Vestman Island. Now, Vestman Island is actually a volcano. And so the harbor is inside a volcano, which is amazing.
That's cool.
And it did erupt once, since they built the harbor. And they were able to get all the lava to go to one spot, and it did not ruin the town. But as you can see, now we took this boat all the way from Tampa, Florida to Germany, 8,312 miles. It is the smallest powerboat that's ever crossed the Atlantic Ocean in the history of the world. This is my favorite picture. There's this guy that showed up started taking pictures of us in Iceland. He said he was just a casual reporter. But when he took the camera and stuck it in my face and turned it sideways, I mean, this far away, I said, this guy's not some casual reporter. Turns out he was a magazine reporter for some magazine in Germany. Changing the oil was always a lot of fun. We always had to get the boat out and change the oil. We could, pretty much everywhere we go, we could talk somebody into changing our oil for free. We're pretty good at that.
So why does it say I'm second?
I Am Second was our sponsor. It means God is first. Okay. This is the trip. We started in Tampa, went around the state of Florida, all the way up to Canada, to Greenland, up the backside of Greenland. The backside of Greenland, nobody lives there. Nothing but icebergs and whales. And there's a town up here called Tassila, but it's 500 miles from down here. And so, and there's a whole story. We started that trip without enough fuel, and no one wanted to sell us any fuel. So there's a town down here called Prince Christensen Sound. The whole area is called Prince Christensen Sound. So we thought it was going to be like a big town when we got there. Five
people.
Five. They got more dogs than people. And they said they had about 200 liters of gasoline, which is about 50 gallons. And they weren't going to give us any of it. And so we had either choice to go back all the way across the country to another gas station and get gas, or give it a shot. And we decided to give it a shot. We made it. But then, we went to Iceland, all the way down the coast of England and down into France, just touched France, and then to Germany. And it was just kind of cool.
Distractions are the enemy of productivity. Go to distractionquiz.com and find out your distraction profile. Are you a time zombie or a hamster? Take this free distraction quiz today to rate your ability to focus on what keeps you from being a wizard. Go to distractionquiz.com.
One of the things that we wanted to talk about, I want to hear more about the story, but I also want to be cognizant of the time that we have. So I want to ask you now, so how many days did that take? That was like 200 days, you said?
Oh, no. At sea, we were 76 days.
76 days. So, but 276, to me, that's crazy amount of time anyway, right? So normal people would be scared and would be concerned with some of the things that they might encounter. How did you deal with the aspect of fear?
Well, here's the reality. When I'm dead, it's not my problem.
Okay, so it's everyone else's problem.
Sorry.
So you're not afraid to die. Is that one of the aspects? Is that if it's your time kind of thing?
That's kind of my mentality. I mean, I jumped out of perfectly good airplanes, climbed all over mountains, hung off cliffs. I'm scared of a lot of stuff, just like you are. I'm scared of interviews like this one. But your point matters, you run towards your fears, okay? And we got caught in a really bad storm between Canada and Greenland, and we used up almost all of our fuel. And we're talking on the edge of the Arctic Circle.
Mm-hmm.
And the wind was blowing out of the north, and we were freezing to death. And the Coast Guard from Canada said they would come get us. It was 400 miles just to come get us. And they don't usually go anywhere near that far. But we had met them earlier, and they said they'd come get us. And we said, don't bother. Well, I'm not getting off the boat. So we drifted around for a couple of days in the North Atlantic with a sea anchor. And it's a parachute you throw in the water, and it keeps the boat because you're in several thousand feet. You can't anchor in several thousand feet unless you got several thousand feet of cord, which we didn't have. Interesting thing about anchors and cords, we got ran over by an iceberg on this trip. Literally ran
over by an iceberg?
We were anchored in Greenland, and we normally have this huge rope, and we had used it for the sea anchor, the parachute we threw in the water.
Okay.
And so being lazy that we were, you kind of pull it out of the water and you stuff it in the anchor box. Well, we had another rope that was really light. We went to anchor in the Sound, and we used that thin rope, thank God, because it broke. Had it not broke, the iceberg would have sucked us under the iceberg.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And would have killed us.
Right.
Okay. But that's just one of about 5 times we almost got killed.
Well, that's everything happens for a reason, right? So it wasn't meant to be your time. So
that was all laziness, to be honest with
lucky.
you.
Well,
okay. And this is us in London Harbor. Just thought you'd like to see that.
Uh-huh.
This is our first iceberg. Now, if you can see my brother Bob, he's out wakeboarding on that iceberg.
Yeah. Nice.
So we got caught in the remnants of Hurricane Dennis, and they sent a search and rescue helicopter out there I don't know what they're there for. They watched us for about 15 minutes, and they left.
I guess they thought you were doing all right.
We were 40 miles northeast of Scotland. What's funny is they gave us about 3 minutes of the footage, and the rest of it turned up on a show. Like here in the United States, we have a show called Cops and Robbers. Well, they've got a couple shows over in Europe called Ships, Trawlers, and Rescues, and The Deadly North Atlantic. So the footage that from us being filmed, okay, showed up on that, which is kind of interesting. Yeah, and we were over off the coast of England, and there's another hurricane out there, and they made it a big deal that London area is the busiest harborway in the world, and there was only one thing moving in the whole area, and that was us. And the Coast Guard kept coming on the radio like, "Yeah, you Brown brothers, okay, don't you understand that nothing else is moving? There's a reason for that."
Right.
So they came out and wanted to put a rescue line on us. And so you could hear this guy on the radio. He's wanting to put a rescue line on my boat and tow me in. And I'm like, no way. We're 100 miles from a world record. We've come 7,000 miles. Okay?
Right.
And they're going to tow us and disqualify us, 100 miles away. So you can hear the argument going back and forth. But anyways, they had this gigantic spotlight on this boat. And they kept shining this gigantic spotlight in my boat, my face. I'm trying to drive.
Right.
I can't see anything. So I'm on the radio yelling at him, turn that stupid spotlight off. Please get it out of we're trying to get out of a storm into a harbor. And they're out there filming us. We didn't know they were filming us at the time. We just know they were shining this stupid spotlight. And so anyways, we finally got out of the storm and got in. And this guy come running up to us with a big old camera. And he's from the television show Discovery Channel, has a show over there, the Deadly North Atlantic. If he would have said, "I'm filming you for Discovery Channel," I would have said, "Sure, shine the white light on me." But they wouldn't tell me that. They're just shining this gigantic spotlight in my eyes. But anyways, this is kind of cool. There's a whole lot. Now, let me just take a minute and tell you, we started this. This was called the I Am Second Wounded Hero Voyage. And it was in honor of the men that gave their lives in Operation Eagle Claw, all 8 of them, not just the 3 Marines, but all 8 of them. And we're also putting together the Eagle Claw Award that's going to be attached to the Race Around the World. Now, I represent the Race Around the World, but I also represent Team USA. So my little shirt says somewhere, it says Team USA. Anyways, right. So we're creating this powerboat race all the way around the planet. There's never been a powerboat race all the way around the planet. Okay, we like to think of it as a combination of Formula One and the America's Cup. Now, the America's Cup, people don't realize that the sponsors, they put their name on the side of those America's Cups, $100 million.
Wow.
The low end. That's the low end.
Wow.
Okay. To put their name on this. People buy, like on a Formula One car, some of the high-end cars is over $300 million to put your name on the side of that car. Because it's just the cheapest advertising you can get to advertise to the whole world. I'll advertise on the internet and everybody will see me. Yeah, there's 100 million other companies advertising on the internet at the same time. How are you going to get in front of all of them?
Right.
Okay. So people don't realize this, but okay, the British team for the America's Cup picked up a sponsor. Okay, $153 million for Enos. And then they picked up a couple more sponsors, added up to a total of $213 million to put your name on the side of one boat.
Pretty
okay.
Good. So what are you going for?
Well, we're creating this race around the world, and our sponsorship's going to be cheap on originally, somewhere around $3 or $4 million year one, about $12 million year two. Or if you want to come in with $12 million up front, we'll give you 2 years. We have an offering together. The offering document, you won't believe this. This is the offering document.
Yeah, I know. I'm in real estate. I've been involved in selling my company, and those contracts are ridiculous. So I see.
213 pages.
I know.
Usually you get a PPM that they download off the internet and you can buy for $100, and you put your stuff in it. It's about 20 pages.
It's also not that solid if it's a 20-page PPM.
It's just as legal as this is. But we partnered with a venture capital firm, and they're putting together an $18 million round for us.
Fantastic.
And so, anyways, to put all of this together, and of course, we had to have 213 pages of this. But we're looking to create something like Formula One, but it's on the water. Formula One is traded on the NASDAQ at a $8.7 billion valuation right now. It was over 11 billion before COVID hit, dropped to about 6 billion. It's back up to really close to 9 billion now. So anyways, this is kind of a cool thing. We're going to create this race around the world. Now, before the race starts, Team USA has a special event that we're going to be doing. Not every other team. We're only allowing one team per country to enter the race. And it's not nonstop racing. Nonstop racing would be boring and dangerous. We race 20 harbors around the world we stop in 20 different harbors as we go around the world. So the plan is we're going to start in San Diego, and we're going to race all the way around the world back to San Diego. That's the current plan.
Gotcha.
Now, we're actually talking to Chicago, Bermuda, and a couple other places that want to be the headquarters. Of course, they're going to fork over some money because it costs money to create this race. But anyways, we'll see if we end up in one of those places. Most people don't realize that Chicago, you can get to the ocean to and from there through the St. Lawrence Seaway and the Great Lakes. But anyway, so we're going to race all the way around the world. But the week before we start the race every year, Team USA is putting together the Eagle Claw Award. Now, the Eagle Claw Award is for an entrepreneur that's prior service military or prior service first responder. And the sponsor we're talking to has already agreed to this. We're going to give them $1 million.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So for anybody who's listening,
those of you that weren't watching, she went like, okay. She didn't go, wow. You're supposed to go, wow.
Wow. No, I was writing it down. I think that is amazing. And so what I wanted to say was for those people who are listening, right, this is a huge opportunity. So tell us how to qualify. Is there a website that they can go to check out more information?
It's still being pieced together. The Cup Royale website, actually, the Cup Royale website's being changed at this very moment. Okay? And just seconds ago, right before we started this, I was on the phone with my webmaster. That's being changed at this very moment. But the Eagle Claw Award is in honor of the men that gave their lives in Operation Eagle Claw. But we're looking for an entrepreneur.
Awesome.
Okay? That has to be a for-profit. Okay? Mm-hmm. We're not looking to give a donation to a nonprofit. We understand that nonprofits are important, and I don't want to belittle any of them, but there are hundreds of them.
Sure. Okay. So it's a for-profit business, entrepreneur. Any other requirements?
You've got to be doing something that one of the 8 men, if there was women in their place, which there weren't at that time, but if there had been women, one of them might have wanted to do, okay, had they lived.
That's cool. So do they have to create that argument as to this would be one of the things that they would want to do, or do you have a list of things that you knew that those people would have?
No, that's up to you to pitch us.
Okay. Cool. That's cool. I really like that.
Okay. Basically going to give the pile to some active duty military, and they can condense it from a pile to basically 10 or 15 names. And then we're going to fly the 10 or 15 names in. Right now, we're planning to start and end in San Diego. And San Diego's a big military retired town. A lot of retired military. That would be appropriate to have in San Diego. But it'll be a Shark Tank type event.
Very cool.
We're going to bring their families in with them. And because I knew how much $1 million would have made it in my career. I mean, I've raised a lot more than $1 million, but it wasn't at one time. It was in little pieces. And how hard it was to get those little pieces. And it was hard it was to get other people to believe you that you were going to get enough little pieces together to make it work.
Absolutely.
And so if someone had come in and helped us with that amount, it would have just helped us like you wouldn't believe. Absolutely. And so we want to pass it forward to somebody, but it's got to be an entrepreneur. You've got to be operating a business that, again, is in honor of the men that gave their lives in Operation Eagle Claw. And that's only because that's my button, okay? Because I was told I was going. Again, I had nothing to do with it. I'm not going to give you any pat me on the back. I sat in my derriere where other men gave their lives.
Right.
Okay. But anyways, I do want to do this in their honor, and we're going to look for an entrepreneur that's living a life or creating a business. It's got to be a for-profit. Now, I've seen a lot of people that are out there. I've got 1 or 2 that I really like, but I only get 1 vote. And there's going to be probably 10 or 15 votes. We're going to try to bring in some active duty people to help us pick them. And so the sponsor is going to get 1 vote. I'm going to get 1 vote. And everybody else is going to get 1 vote in there. And so, I mean, I'm real impressed with, I'll be honest, I'm impressed with one girl that's got her leg blown off, and she climbs mountains. And then she goes out and gives speeches. She gives speeches on tenacity.
That's amazing. That's amazing. There are some amazing people and amazing stories. What you're doing is really incredible. So in essence of time here, definitely put a link to your site so that people can find out more information about that and stay up to date when they can apply. Before we close down today's show, I just want to ask you, what do you think is the biggest thing that you learned from your adventures?
Okay, I'm going to take it to an old racing movie, and I don't remember the name of the racing movie, but it was a car racing movie. There's a racing story that basically says race towards the crash. And if you race towards the crash, by the time you get there, it's gone. Okay. And so most of the things that we worry about, and I still worry about like you and everybody else, if we just go towards it like it's not there, by the time we get there, it's gone. It's a non-issue. And I think in my life, that all of the things that I thought were impossible, I managed to take care of themselves. And so the things that I thought were going to be easy, they weren't so easy.
Right.
But I guess that would be my one lesson. If you go towards your fears, I'm just as scared as everybody else is. I'm scared of big waves, just like anybody else is. I'm scared of jumping out of an airplane. I mean, I've done it, but I'm just like everybody else. Okay. I'm really scared of that blonde-haired thing that stands about this tall in my house. It's my wife. I mean, making her unhappy is one of the things that really motivates me not to make her unhappy.
Well, it's good that you've got your fears correctly organized. So
that's really important. Anyways, I hope you'll follow the Cup Royale. And there's lots of ways to partner with us and be involved in, sponsor. There's still some room for some investors. A couple of things along that line, if anybody has an interest in those kind of things. And so now I've sucked up enough of your time, Penny. Thank you for taking my time.
Well, thanks for telling us your story. It's an incredible story. And I know there's lots of other really great bits and pieces, and perhaps we'll have to circle back around and hear in depth some of those stories as well.
And you can watch the series. There's a series on Amazon Prime, 11 episodes.
Fantastic. Okay. We'll include the link. So make sure that I have the link, and we'll include the link in the notes.
Okay. I'll do that. I'll send that to you. Or you can just Google I Am Second Wounded Hero Voyage, and you'll find it.
Okay.
Anyways, all right. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, thank you, Ralph. And thank you all for being here and listening to what seems like a crazy story that Ralph decided that he was going to get a world's record and build a boat, flats boat, and travel around the world. But the truth is that whatever you are going after, whatever your goal is, think bigger. Like Ralph said, we think things are impossible, but things take care of themselves when you head in that direction, and the fear that you thought that you had actually falls away when you see that it wasn't as big of a challenge maybe as you thought it was. Challenging, yes, but if you go through it, you will learn an incredible amount and you will experience life at a whole nother level. So I encourage you all to think bigger and to go after your dreams. Thank you. This is Penny Zanker, and you're listening to Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.